Blog Talk Radio. Hi everyone, this is Camille from sunny California, and you're listening to the Coffee Chat with Camille show, which is the podcast series that interviews various guests about real-life topics for people who love to learn. Hi. Today, hi, this is your host, Camille, and today our topic is how a wannabe actor became the world's greatest spy with Robert Kerbeck. His biography, Robert Kerbeck's true crime memoir about his career as the world's #1 corporate spy ruse, lying the American dream from Hollywood to Wall Street, has received praise from Frank Abagnale, Catch Me If You Can, ex-CIA agent Valerie Plame, Fair Game, and Bradley Hope, billionaire dollar whale. RUSE is currently in development for a TV series with Silver Lining Entertainment, Showtime's Your Honor. Robert's previous book, Malibu Burning, the real story behind LA's most devastating wildfire, won a 2021 Southern California Journalism Award, an IPPY Award, and the Best of LA Award. His writing has appeared in the Los Angeles Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, Los Angeles Magazine, Shondaland, the Lithub's Crime Reads. He has been featured on many of the most popular podcasts and radio shows in the country. And if you want to go to his website, it is robertkerbeck.com, and we have it inside of our description. Listeners can buy his book from his website, but they can also view the RUSE trailer as well as films he's written. They can also view footage from his acting days with appearances on Star Trek, Melrose Place, ER, NYPD Blue, and over 50 other shows. So it's time to go ahead and let Robert into the show so we can begin our interview. Yay, I'm so excited.
Well, hello there.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming to the show. And I'm thrilled to have you, and I really appreciate you being here.
Oh, sure. Well, thanks for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our interview. How did you become a corporate spy?
Well, I didn't take classes in high school in subterfuge and spying 101. But basically, I was in college in Philadelphia, and I got really into acting. And when I graduated, actors need survival jobs. And when I moved to New York, I needed a job, and I didn't know anybody who lived in New York. I just had one friend there, and he had a very mysterious job that he wouldn't talk about. One day he said something about it, and then he shut up right away, like he knew he wasn't supposed to say anything. And I said, hey, dude, I'm broke, help me out, and so he very reluctantly got me an interview with the woman who, ran this company, which at the time I didn't know, but she basically ran a spying firm. And so I went and I did this very strange interview with her where she never asked me anything about my skills or my abilities. It was a very bizarre interview, and eventually she set me on my way. And I was pretty sure I didn't get the job, but my buddy called and said, you're hired, but don't get too excited because no one is able to do this job. No one is able to do the kind of trickery and manipulation that we do to get people inside major corporations to tell us things that they should never, ever tell us. And the next day I went and I started training and began my apprenticeship as a corporate spy.
Oh, and then what does a corporate spy do?
That's a great question. So corporate spies, we all know the Russians spy on the Chinese and the Chinese spy on us, but what most people are shocked to find out is that major corporations are spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year to spy on each other. And so they want to know anything and everything about their competitors so that they can utilize that to their, their advantage. So, I always describe it in terms of football, right? If you knew the playbook of your opponent a couple days before the big game, you knew every play they were going to run, you knew what they were calling their plays, what their formations were, be a lot easier to beat them, right? And so that's what corporations are looking for. They want to know, information about future plans, who the top people are, who their clients are, what deals they have in the pipeline, how much they pay their people, anything and everything that you can find out, who has a drinking problem, whatever it is that they're going to be able to use to increase, whatever your client is going to be able to use to increase their revenue, while at the same time damaging their rivals, because corporate America is extremely cutthroat.
And then why is secret corporate information so valuable?
Why is it so valuable?
Yes. Why
well,
is
because corporations are worth billions of dollars. So I'll give you an example. The legendary CEO of Apple, Steve Jobs, was a huge believer in secrecy. So and of course it's obvious the reasons why. Imagine if you knew the names of the design team for the iPad back in the day, and you were able to steal one or two of those individuals and bring them over to your company so that you were able to develop the iPad before Apple. How much money would that have been worth?
Wow, yes.
Right? So when you can find out information like that, in some cases it could literally be worth billions of dollars.
Okay. Thank you. And do corporations ever admit to hiring spies?
No. No. And in most cases they don't even hire the spies directly. They hire the spies through an intermediary company because they want to have plausible deniability that if somehow a spy gets caught spying on behalf of their firm, they can say, oh my God, well, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't hire that person. We hired this other firm and we didn't know that firm was hiring spies. But I'm here to tell you that many, many times I've presented, my extracted data to individuals that today are one step from being the CEOs of some of the largest companies in the world, publicly traded companies. These are individuals that are on CNBC talking about ethics and corporate culture, and yet they're all hiring spies, excel, and that their company can excel. And as I said earlier, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, pharmaceutical industry, industrial industry, these are extremely competitive people in extremely competitive companies, and they're always looking for ways to get an edge up on their competitors.
Yes, and did you ever get arrested?
Did I ever get arrested? No. But in the book, in RUSE, I talk a lot about the number of crazy close calls where at one point I was being tracked by every major authority in the country.
Okay, and then what kind of ploys did you use?
Well, we would use all different kinds of ploys, because we were actors, and the woman who had this firm, she only hired actors because she knew actors were good at creating characters. They were good at creating voices. They were good at storytelling. And, that's what spying is. It's basically creating a story that is close enough to the truth that people believe it. And one of the funniest things about doing the RUSE, that's what I called the job, the RUSE, was that the crazier the story, the more insane the ploy, the more believable they became. So, sometimes we would call up with accents, this is Gerhard calling from the office in Frankfurt, Germany. We have the European Union regulators here, and we need some information from the States. right? And people would be, oh, my gosh, Gerhard, you're calling from our office in Germany. And remember, corporations now have offices all over the world, right? They have offices in Germany and in Dublin and in Tokyo and in London and in Charlotte and Dallas. You could do a Southern accent. So we would do all these different accents, and people would just believe we were this person that we said we were who worked in a different office. And, of course, people are trained to be what in corporate America or in the corporate world? They're trained to be a good teammate. So if you have somebody on the other end of the phone and they're telling you they're jammed up and there's a crisis, there's an emergency, well, what are they going to do? They're going to help you, right? And that's what they're trained to do. And so most times people are more than willing to help you, even though when you start the questions you start asking don't really make a lot of sense. Like, why would this guy need this information? Why is he trying to learn about our system? Why is he trying to learn about, our new deal that we haven't announced? Why is he, they're not thinking about that because they're just thinking, well, if this guy's with the firm, he must really need this information for whatever reason he told me, and I'm going to help him.
Okay, thank you. And then why did you write RUSE now?
Because the statute of limitations on any potential crimes that I may have committed had expired. So I could safely, basically tell the story and out myself as a spy.
And when will the RUSE series air?
I don't know the answer to that yet because this is my first time in this process, and it takes a lot of time, from the the selling of the show, then the development of the show, then the writing of the show, and then obviously casting of the show and all of that stuff. So, if things go well, I'm going to say 12 to 18 months.
Wow. Okay.
Knock
wonderful.
on wood.
Okay, I will. And then what is the weakest link in cybersecurity?
Great question. Yeah, the weakest link, these corporations spend all of this money on the technology for obvious reasons, and they create the firewall and they have the encryption and they have all of these great things, important things to protect their systems, their servers, their networks. But what they spend far less time working on is training their employees not to release information. And so the weakest link in cybersecurity is always the human being. If you can get a human being in some far-flung office, sometimes it's a junior person, oftentimes it's a bored person, even more oftenly it's an embittered person that doesn't like the firm, doesn't like working at the firm, and so they don't care, and they're willing to tell you anything and everything that a spy might want to know, and in many cases, they're even willing to then do research on your behalf to find out things that they may not know, but now they're in the firm and they may know someone who would know the answer to that question. So they'll actually call that person or email that person for you and get the information that you've requested.
Okay, and then for our last question, how does spying involve ransomware attacks?
Well, oftentimes, when we think of ransomware, we think of, maybe it's one person in some, basement somewhere. But oftentimes, these are fairly sophisticated, small, but fairly sophisticated gangs of individuals that are, each person kind of has their own specialty. And so there's one person that is the social engineer, or what I call the ruser. And that person will oftentimes call corporations or do some sort of phishing with email or text, trying to get information about the network. Because as good as hackers are, they need to have some sense of how a company has set up their network. And so the ruser is calling and they're getting that information, which then they share to their teammate who's the hacker. And then once they've hacked into a firm and they're holding a firm ransom, then there's usually somebody on the team that's kind of a financial instrument expert, because his job or her job is to go, okay, well, how are we going to get paid, and how are we going to get paid in a way that money is not traceable? So, that's how social engineering and rusing is used in these ransomware attacks.
Okay, thank you. And let's see here. Did you want to please let our audience or listeners know where they can buy your book?
Sure. I tell people the easiest thing is to go to my website, robertkerbeck.com, Kerbeck. You can buy RUSE there. You can buy my previous book, Malibu Burning, there. You can buy it from wherever you like to buy books, Amazon or Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore, which I recommend. And then, as you mentioned in the beginning of the program, you can also see the trailer for RUSE, which gives you a sense of what the TV show might look like.
Excellent. I want to thank you so much, Robert. So I'm just very thankful. And that was very interesting topic, very unique. And I'm definitely going to buy your books. And thank you again for being my guest here at Coffee Chat with Camille.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, everyone. That is wonderful, Robert Kerbeck. And I want to I want to read a little bit more about Robert before I close out the show. We all know the Russians spy on us and that we spy on the Chinese. But what most people are shocked to find out is that major corporations are spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year to spy on each other. RUSE is a juicy, captivating look into the dark underbelly of corporate espionage and cybercrime as companies attack each other at their very core. Pulling no punches, Robert Kerbeck provides a never-before-seen look into the hidden life of a corporate spy. Okay, so that was, again, Robert Kerbeck. You can find his book, sounds like just about anywhere, but you can also go to his website at robertkerbeck.com. Okay, their listeners can buy, my wonderful audience out there, can buy his book from his website, but you can also view the RUSE trailer as well as films he's written. You can also view footage from his acting days. I keep wanting to say like I'm him. His acting days with appearances on Star Trek, Melrose Place, ER, NYPD Blue, and over 50 other shows. Okay, and I think that's it for now. I want everyone to know that this has been an honor for me to have Robert on. Wonderful interview. I learned so much so fast. Actually, it went by pretty quickly, but quite enjoyable. And it just like all these images come to mind. Spies, like they're real. Who knew, right? They're real. Not just in movies and TV. So I want to say goodbye to everyone. Happy Friday to you. And thank you for listening to Coffee Chat with Camille. You can find this episode and many others at coffeechatwithcamille.com. Right? Bye.